everyone, welcome to another free songwriting lesson. My name is Matthew McCloskey, and today we're taking a look at We Don't Talk Anymore by Charlie Puth featuring Selena Gomez. I'm going to be showing you the top 3 tricks that Charlie uses in this song that make it a success, and I'm going to be showing you how to use those same techniques in your songwriting to take your music to the next level. Let's jump into it. The first thing that Charlie does in this song that makes it so successful is he uses a really great chord progression. We're in the key of E major. He goes from A to B to C sharp minor to G sharp minor. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore like we used to do. This chord progression works for one big reason. It's asymmetrical. If something is asymmetrical, you can split it down the middle, and it's not the same on both sides. If this was symmetrical, there'd be an A down on this side and a B down here on this side. If something is symmetrical, like let's say that there was that A and B down here on this side, the chord progression would get really boring really fast because you've just got 2 chords. Your audience would get used to it and they wouldn't want to listen to your song as much because it's not changing. Asymmetry is a way to keep things fresh. That's what Charlie does here. He knows about asymmetry, and so he chooses to put these 2 chords here and then get some different ones down here so you can hear his voice and the instruments that he's playing with playing on different chords. So let's say that you really like this chord progression by Charlie. Let's say you really want to use it in your own music, but you don't want to use this exact one. You don't want to sound exactly like Charlie. How do you use something similar to this in your music? The answer is the Nashville number system. The Nashville number system allows us to take progressions and move them into other keys. There's a download in the description that teaches you how to do what I'm going to show you here. Remember earlier I said we're in the key of E major. Knowing that, E is our 1. And once we know that E is our 1, we can look at all of these and assign them numbers. If we're in the key of E major, A is our 4, B is our 5, C sharp minor is our minor 6, and G sharp minor is our minor 3rd. Now that we have these numbers, we can move them into any key that we want. So let's say we want to write in C major, for example. Well then, once we know we're in C, and C is our 1, we know that 4 becomes our F, 5 becomes G, minor 6 becomes A minor, and minor 3 becomes E minor. We now have a brand new chord progression that doesn't sound identical to Charlie's, but it's similar. That's what you want to do if you have an influence, an artist that you really like listening to, whether it's Charlie or anybody. You can use this Nashville number system to borrow chords from their progressions, move them to different keys, and really bring that influence from that artist into your music and make it your own. Go grab that download in the description. It's going to teach you how to do what I've just done here. It's going to help you a ton in your songwriting. One other thing that I really like about this chord progression is that it ends on a G sharp minor. The minor 3 is not all that common in pop music. We don't normally see a minor 3 at the end of a progression. We normally would see the 5, maybe the 4. Like these 3 chords right here are the most common. That and the 1. But we don't see the minor 3rd that often, and we don't normally see it in this place. But Charlie makes it work. That's something you got to be thinking about when you're songwriting. How can I go against what pop radio says I should be doing? How do I embrace what they do, make it accessible, but how do I still bend the rules a little bit so my song stands out? That's why we talk about things like asymmetry and keeping it fresh, because your song needs to stand out if people are really going to remember it. The second thing that Charlie does in this song that makes it work so well is the structure of his pre-chorus. Don't wanna know kind of dress you're wearing tonight. He's holding on to you so tight, the way I did before. This structure works really well because, like we just said, it's asymmetrical. So for this to be symmetrical, you got to think of this red line as a mirror. If these 2 sides mirrored each other, you would expect to see an A and a B down here. But that's not what Charlie gives us. Instead, he gives us a B, which is weird, to have one line here and then have the 2nd and 3rd lines rhyme with each other. That's weird. That doesn't happen often. Instead of rhyming this line down here with this C, he gives us a different word down here. 4 doesn't rhyme with night. This makes it asymmetrical, and that's good, because if your audience knows what words you're going to throw at the end of this line, or what rhyme you're going to use, then they're going to check out, like, I already know what's coming, I don't have any reason to listen to this, but Charlie knows that. So he puts a different word, a different rhyme, down here at the end of the line and says, the way I did before. That rhyme scheme is something that people don't hear very often. They're used to hearing A, B, B, right? It's very predictable. I was walking in the rain, I felt a lot of pain, I walked up to your door and asked you for some more. You know, that's very, very predictable. Charlie knows that, so that's not what he does. Now the thing is, Charlie goes through this structure twice. Now once you've been through something once, the tricks that you use the first time to keep it fresh, your audience is going to be expecting those. So you got to twist it again to keep it fresh. So how does Charlie do that here? The first time through is the, don't wanna know what kind of dress you're wearing tonight. The second time through is, I overdosed, should've known your love was a game, now I can't get you out of my brain. But Charlie does two things with this last line that make it really, really pop out. Instead of going with the C the second time, what does he do? He gives the audience what they were expecting the first time, and he gives them a B. Oh, it's such a shame. That's cool because the first time we weren't expecting a C, and Charlie gave us a C here. Then the second time through, we were expecting to get a C, that is a line that doesn't rhyme with these two right here, and Charlie gives us instead a line that does rhyme with these. That's cool because it's not what the audience was expecting. Go to your songwriting notebook, write that down in big letters. Not what the audience was expecting. That's so important. The last thing that he does, right after this line hits, that makes this pre-chorus really pop before we hit the chorus, is he uses a drop. A drop is where you drop out instruments. It's usually everything but your voice, just for a second before you transition into another section. Why does that work so well? It's a dynamic change. It's a change in the volume of the song. Again, you gotta be changing things up to keep it fresh. Write that down in your notebook. Change it up to keep it fresh. The reason a drop works so well is because it's a sudden change in volume. So if I'm talking to you like this for a little bit and then I suddenly get down like this and it's barely quiet and you can barely hear me, that's gonna make you lean in. Because I was talking along at this level and then I dropped. You're gonna be like, what just happened? Did Matt get run over by a bus or something like that? Like, did he just die on us? Versus if I'm talking softly like this, and then I suddenly get loud like this, you're going to want to pay attention. Because it might be, is Matt pissed off about something? Oh God. That's why a drop, especially right before a chorus, because that's where you want your audience to really be listening. A drop works really well there because your audience is going along at this level, and then you drop it for a second, and that pulls them in because it's sudden. And that's where you really want your audience to be listening, is the chorus. So to do it at the end of your pre-chorus is a great move. If you take nothing else from this video, learn how to use a drop. Write that down. The third thing that Charlie does in this song that makes it a success is how he writes his lyrics. Charlie uses the show, don't tell approach. Show, don't tell is you show an audience how a character is feeling instead of telling them how a character is feeling. I'll give you an example. So show, for a character that's feeling sad, show could be, he watched the wind blow the weather vane outside and he watched the rain beat against the glass and he wiped a tear away from his own eye, right? That's kind of a cheesy way of looking at it, but you don't actually come out and tell the audience that this character was feeling sad right now. Why don't you do that? Why not just come out and spell it out? Because if you spell it out, it's too obvious. It takes all of the guesswork out. Audiences want to have a little bit of the answer. They want to have clues, right? They don't want you to tell them the answer to the song right away. They want to have clues along the way. The reason Charlie Puth's song works so well is because instead of coming out and saying, I broke up with this girl, I broke up with this girl, I broke up with this girl and now I'm sad. He doesn't go that route. Instead, he focuses in on a symptom, a result of his breaking up with Selena Gomez. We don't talk anymore. If you take that line as the listener and you interpret it, it's, yeah, he probably broke up with somebody, because a lot of pop songs are about lost relationships, and if you're not talking anymore, it's probably with someone that you care deeply about. That's how you gotta write your lyrics. It's show, don't tell. If somebody is feeling sad in your song, you don't come right out and tell them, because it makes the audience get bored. They're not going to have a reason to listen to it and figure out what's happening because you've already told them. Versus if you give them one little piece at a time, we don't talk anymore like we used to do. They can probably guess that, yeah, this is about a relationship that went poorly. So when you get into the verses and start singing, I just heard you found the one you've been looking for. I wish I would have known that wasn't me. Your audience is going to be like, ha, I knew it. That's how you got to write your lyrics. Show, don't tell. Don't give it all away at once. Give them a little piece at a time. Give your audience a reason to keep listening. Thanks for checking this video out. I hope what I've explained here today has been useful to you and it's helped further your songwriting in some way. If anything I've covered in this video is unclear to you, or if there was something in this song that you want to hear me go into more depth on, send me a comment in the section. I read all of them and I want to make sure I'm helping you guys. Please subscribe to this channel for more videos in the future. I would love to have you guys along for the ride. If you have any ideas for songs that I can do in the future that you think are great, or artists that you think write really well, send me those in the comment section as well. I'm always on the hunt for new music that I can analyze for you guys. And lastly, make sure you grab that download of the Nashville number system in the description. That's going to help you a ton in your songwriting. My name is Matthew McCloskey. Thanks again for checking out this video, and I will see you guys next time.